Hey guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. We're going to jump right into this, you guys. Today we have the most pristine, clean, mint sb221 I've ever seen. And it's for sale. Straight up. This is the cleanest, non-factory built amplifier I've ever seen. I've seen one that had a little bit better wire organization as far as the bottom side of the cabinet went, but the person that owned it was a smoker. This thing has got no talk time on it whatsoever. Now we know with the sb221s you had the upgraded reinforcement plates down here for the transformer, for the plate transformer. They also gave you the upgraded post. This is made out of a newer style of plastic and isn't made of the old fiberboard that breaks down. Let's take a good look at the pins on the bottom sides of the sockets. They're completely pristine. This has the original iMac tubes in it. Pristine iMac tubes in it. This thing was built in April of 1982. It says it written right down here. The guy that built this was no joke. He could have done a little bit better on the wire routing, but that's it. Now, you guys know I'm pretty famous for ripping these chokes out and grounding the grids and stuff. That's not the goal here with this particular setup. The goal here with this particular setup is to sell it as is. Okay? As pristine and as virginal as I possibly can present it to you. Now, you think the bottom side looked good. And wait till you see the inside of this thing. There is not a single scratch, scuff mark, thumbprint, anything on the front of this amplifier. It is perfect. The armor that is on the outside, that goes on the outside of this thing, is perfect. There isn't a scratch on it. There isn't a blemish on it. There isn't anything. It's perfect. Ready for this? This is as clean as when it was very first built. The transformer isn't rusted. There's no discolorization. There's no dust. There's no nicotine buildup. Nothing. And this thing is in perfect, beyond 100% working order. Now there's something I want to cover. I want to be really clear about it. The sb221 has the 10 meter position eliminated in it. Now, if we look down in here, we'll see that the 10 meter coil is in there for the input. Okay? But when you click to this position, you have nothing. It will not work in 10 or 11 meters, you guys, and that's the way they did it by design. Okay? And it's a really simple process to convert. You have to tie onto those two little tabs right there at the end of my finger on the band switch, and then you got to hook up one little wire down here. Okay? Which I will do for the new owner if that's what they want. I'm not going to run out and do this. It's not happening. This thing is literally the most pristine, perfect representation of an sb221 I've ever seen. I mean, it is so clean that the lid that goes on top of this thing, let me grab this real quick. Ooh. I mean, even the leading edge of the bezel face isn't even scuffed. Look at this. Beyond clean. There's not a rust mark, not a dent, not a ding, nothing. even have all the stock screws for the lid. And not one of them is even remotely close to being stripped out. Not even close. The back side of this thing is in perfect shape. The fan is pristine and new. Does it run, you ask now? The question is yes. And the answer to the question is yes. Let me put the lid on it because I don't want to go and bend the safety interlock. This little brass tab that's right here that's grounding out the high voltage. The reason I can stick my fingers around in here and not freak out because the circuit's grounded and dead. I don't want to bend that out of the way. This little brass flapper. I don't want to bend that up. So let me put the lid on it and we're going to give it a whack. We're going to run it out. And it does everything it should. So give me just a second. I'm going to tell you right now, the only reason that I am not keeping this for myself is because my wife says I'm not allowed to keep any more of this stuff for myself. I've already got an sb220 and sb221. I've got one that's got all the Harbach mods in it, and I got another one that's completely bone stock in my own personal collection. Otherwise, I'd probably sell the one in my own personal collection and keep this one. This thing is in really stupid sick shape. I can't tell you how nice this is. Words cannot describe it. Okay, so we're going to go over here and we're going to look at high voltage for right now. We're going to look right here, you guys. So we're sitting just below 2,500 and we're sitting just below 3,000. Just the way we should. Now I was sitting here looking at my grid meter running earlier, and our plate ampere, everything on this works. There's not even a fingerprint on the front of these meters. It is so pristine. Okay? Now what I've got going on is I've got the ICOM. We're in 15 meters. Got the ICOM running into a 2-pill. So I'm going to kick that into here. This is our input reflect tune. This is a 50 watt slug in reverse. Got a 5 watt slug in reverse back from the 10,000 watt dummy load, 1,000 watt slug in average, and a 1,000 watt slug in PEP. Okay? So we're going to run this out on 15 meters. Because remember, the 10 meter position doesn't do anything in the sb221. I want to point that out again, because I don't want somebody to buy this and then call me up and say, hey, it doesn't work in a 10 meter, 11 meter position. That's right. They never did. This is the later model. So, okay. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. So first what I'm going to show you is the amp running. With just radio drive. Okay? Radio drive. 100 watts. Run low position. There's our 0 signal reference. Hello. I must have bumped my tune and load knobs. Give me a second. Let me reload this thing. Bump that. And I mean, I just scooched it in the process of flipping the amplifier back and forth. Okay, so once again, radio drive, about 90 watts. It's a 10 to 1 amplifier, so for every watt in, you're going to get 10 out. 900 watts. Exactly what it should do. Input tune. Flat. Meter on radio. Flat. Perfectly in tune. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the 2-pill and we'll back this down. Now, in the day when this thing was designed to be run, it was designed to be run with about 200 watts peak put into it. And a lot of ham guys don't get that because right in the mid-80s, they went from having about a 200 watt standard to a 100 watt standard. So a lot of radios in the 80s that everybody's associated with only do about 100, 125 watts, 130 watts at the most peak, right? Well, when this thing was designed, it was designed to be hit with a 200 watt radio. Now, the Kiowa Apache, which would be the thing that you could run into this thing made by Heathkit, did about 180 watts. on a slow day. I mean, that thing was the monster of a radio. Anyhow, let's see what we're going to put into it for drive now. Still a little bit hot. Still a little bit hot. Right at about 200. Perfect. We're in a high position. Let's go ahead and run this thing out all the way. We're going to bury this needle, by the way, so this is going to disappear. It's over 1,000 average, of course, because we're in sideband. So we're going to click that up to 2x. Full deflection on this meter is 2,000 watts, and right here is 1,000. Okay, halfway. 50. All I'm showing you here is that the tubes are at 100%. The input network is correct, and the output network on the tube and the inside of the amp is correct. We know it's correct because it's perfectly stock and it's pristine. So I'm demonstrating it running with a couple hundred watts of drive. About 3 to 4 watts of input reflect with 200 watt going in, still well below 1.1. Guys, sb221. The most pristine one I've ever had in my hands. Ever. Completely 100% stock. We're going to want in the area between 900 and 950 for this, because it is exactly what it is. Perfect. I'm basically giving it away at that price. I see ones on Fleabay that you don't have a reference video to look at go for much more all the time. And they're butchered on the inside in comparison to this. I mean, a really chewed up, used up sb220 is still worth a good $700-800. So this has got matched set of IMAX in it, and it is completely pristine. I don't think 950 is overstretching for it, and I know the average Joe can afford it. Look, guys, if you want this amplifier, don't hesitate to call me. The phone number is right here on the wall. Shoot me a text. Call me, and we'll get it headed your way. Tax time is coming, guys. Everybody's going to have their money, and I guarantee you I won't have this thing for very long. Gentlemen, my name is BBI, and without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. Come check us out, www.bbiamps.com. Come find me on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and, of course, Instagram, and right here on the YouTube Gargler. If this is the first time you've ever watched one of my videos, do me a favor, click subscribe. Make sure to hit the alarm button. That way you can follow along with everybody else. Appreciate you all tuning in. Gentlemen, I gotta go. I got a bunch of other stuff I gotta do, and I gotta put this back together. sb221, the prettiest one I've ever seen. For sale. I'll see ya. Bye.